This happened 1 year ago when my parents left with my sister for an event in Austria and told me that I would alone in the house for 3 days. You can say I was thrilled, because I wasn't alone in the house for that long before. For the first night, everything was fine, but I woke up with a bad feeling that somebody was watching me, but I just shrugged it off and continued sleeping. Even throughout the second day, I felt like somebody was watching me, but when I took a look around the house, I didn't find anyone or anything, so I just continued with my day and watched some movies. At the final night, I was home alone. I woke up between 2 and 3 a.m., and I heard somebody walking outside the house again. So I put on some shoes and headed out with flashlight. I was walking around the house when I heard a noise from the woods that were little far from my house. But I was that stupid that I went to there. As I was walking, I heard something behind me, so I turned around, but I saw nothing. A few minutes later, I heard a scream and I ran back home. When I got home, I locked the door and looked through the curtains, and there was a person staring back at me. When he saw me, he ran to the directions of the woods. When my parents arrived, I didn't tell them what happened, so they don't know till these days. I'd been home 5 more times since that night, but I never saw him again. I don't know who he was, but I hope I never see him again. I was cleaning the windows in our apartment. My partner was working late. After I cleaned the window next to our bed, I took a picture of it to send to my mom. She'd recommended the cleaning product I used, and I wanted to send her the results. Left the room, went about my day, went to get in bed that night, laid on my side facing the window next to the bed, and boom, massive handprint, much bigger than mine, on the outside of the glass. I know it wasn't there earlier because of the picture I'd taken. Weird thing is, it's a top-floor apartment. Nobody else has access to the roof. The only way up to it is through our actual apartment, as it's also a private garden. The apartment is 4 stories above street level. Really freaked me out. I was at home. My parents went out to, ironically, get milk and other things, of course. I suddenly heard laughing coming deep from my closet. I thought it was my little sister trying to scare me, so I called out, "Scarlett, I've told you countless times that your tricks don't work on me anymore." I suddenly got a text from my parents. It said, "Your sister is helping us get the groceries, so we can get home quickly." My blood ran cold. I quickly scanned the area as I heard it again. "Come on, Chester. I want to play with you in the closet." I quickly jumped out of the bed and ran as fast as I could. I heard a blood-curdling scream as a bang came from my closet. It was chasing me. My heart pounded as each step hurt my chest. It felt like I was about to throw up. I reached my neighbor's house and banged on the door. They opened the door with worried looks on their faces. I explained everything as fast as I could, and they called the cops. The cops arrived and found a naked man in my closet. While they walked out with the man looked at me, and his facial expression is something that will haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. He smiled at me with an almost ear-to-ear smile and mouthed the words, "Good decision." As they put him in the car, I always sleep with a nightlight and never stay home alone. One thing always keeps me up at night, though. What would have happened if I chose to open the closet door? I've been laying in bed, scrolling through my phone for the past hour. At one point, I heard movement behind my head, coming from inside the wall. I pictured some huge rat or bat, or maybe even a raccoon was trapped in there trying to find its way out. I live in a very old house, so there is no new insulation. Plenty of space for a whole family of opossums or who knows what. It's late, nothing I can do about it, so I just put on a video on trying to block out the noise. Still pretty freaked out about the idea of something creeping around in the walls. Why does shit like this only ever happen when you're alone? I thought to myself. I kept hearing more shuffling sounds from behind my head. It didn't sound like claws or bat wings, just soft shuffling. It was getting on my nerves, so I banged on the wall. Something banged back. I sat upright immediately, trying to convince myself I panicked the poor creature, so it slammed into the wall, trying to run away. It's really amazing how easily we can brush things off when we don't want to feel scared. That has to be it, right? Something just ran into the wall when it heard me. That makes sense. Desperately trying to reassure myself, frozen in place, not sure what to do or think. Damn, I wish I wasn't alone right now. I waited to see if the shuffling sounds came back. Nothing. I finally let myself calm down again, laughing at myself for being so terrified of some poor raccoon in the wall, imagining he's just as afraid as me, being trapped in there. I hope he finds his way out. After I felt like enough silence had passed, I put my video back on. I could feel myself drifting to sleep when I heard it. I heard a phone ring right behind my fucking head. It was only for a second, but that was long enough to realize there is someone hiding inside the wall of my house. That thin wall is the only thing separating them from me. Panic set in so fast, I just froze. I went to call 911, but I realized I didn't hear anything moving. Whoever is back there is trying to stay still, silent, hoping I'm asleep and didn't hear their phone. I do not want to let them know otherwise. Hiding under the covers, I texted the police. I've heard that's something you can do, but I haven't gotten a response. I've texted all my friends, my parents, at least half the people in my phone, but it's late, and no one is responding. Where are the damn cops? I thought to myself. I'm trying to stay as silent as possible. I'm too scared to try to run. There has to be someone awake on here. Someone please help me. What the fuck do I do? I got a text alert on my phone, breaking the silence as a massive hand punched through the wall, reaching out for me in the dark. He grabbed me by the hair, yanking me towards him, and he forced his way through the thin wall. I kicked and flailed in desperation, but he was on top of me before I even had a chance to get away. Completely breathless under the weight of him, I realized I was not making it out alive. My vision began to go black as he punched me repeatedly. Fight or flight kicked in, and in a sudden moment of adrenaline, I forced my thumb into his eye, pushing with all my might until I heard a sickening popping sound. Grabbing his bloody eye socket, he leaned back, giving me just enough time to kick him as hard as I could in his most sensitive parts. He wailed in pain as I ran as fast as I could, out the door, screaming for help. My neighbor's porch light turned on, and I banged on the door until she let me in. Covered in scratches and blood, bawling my eyes out, I begged her to call the police. I stayed with my neighbor for the night, while the police investigated my house. They found empty food wrappers, bottles full of piss, pictures of me strung up on the inside of the wall, pictures of me while I slept, unaware of the man who had lived in my walls for what appeared to have been months. They never found him. Now every night I dream of that hand punching its way through the wall, playing out what might have happened had I not escaped. Every house has its crawl space, or that attic no one ever really goes in, that little space under the basement stairs, or an old wall with just enough space to hide. You never know who might be lurking, creeping around your own home, watching you through a tiny little hole in the wall you'd never even have noticed. The truth is, there could be someone inside your home right now, but you would never know, unless you suddenly hear a phone ring.